Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special Duskmourn draft here on the channel. Today, we are joined by an incredible Magic the Gathering podcaster, streamer, YouTuber. You know him, you love him. His name is Quarter Calls Online, host of the Limited Level Ups podcast. Welcome to the channel again.
Yo, Nicolai, what's going on? So happy to be back. Always enjoy these drafts. And yeah, I'm just excited to be drafting an awesome format with you.
Yeah, so you say Duskmourn is an awesome format, and what makes you like the format so much? Before we dive to the draft itself, let's break down your thoughts a little bit.
For sure. I think it's, somebody in my chat on Twitch asked me the other day, like, when's the last time you liked a format as much as Duskmourn? And I had to think a bit. It's probably been a few years, honestly. And I think it's a combination of things. The color balance is pretty good. I think that there's a pretty wide range of kinds of decks you can draft. And, it's, unlike Bloomburrow, where it's very much like, well, you're green white, you're doing this thing. I can be doing a lot of things in each color combination.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the balance of, the rarities, there's no super mega busted rares. I mean, there's one or two, but you don't feel like you face them every single game, really,
Yeah, for sure. That's been, I think, a lot of people's experience. I'm really liking this set as well. And I think part of it is the flexibility of like overlap of color pairs, because as you touched on in Bloomburrow, like if you were green white, it wasn't just that green white did the thing, it was like the cards didn't even fit into other green or other white decks necessarily. Are you finding any decks that you're really enjoying drafting in this set that are pretty flexible like that?
Yeah, I found one of them that it's kind of become my pet deck, just the one I find myself in quite often, is green red Delirium.
Yep.
And you can build it very aggressive if you've got the Wicker Folks, the uncommon, like that card's a very good aggressive card. But you could build it a bit slower, a bit more mid-rangey, maybe you have some big green things. And yeah, I find it to be pretty effective either way.
Yeah, that's, spoiler alert, been my favorite deck as well. I think I drafted I drafted it like 5 times in a row at one point, and it was one of those head scratchers where it was like, am I just wrong? Are these cards not just great? Like, I keep winning, so maybe I'm just getting lucky, but like, why is no one taking these cards? And I think this format's also really cool because it enables splashes. There's a lot of good fixing, especially in green. Do you find yourself splashing a lot in these sorts of strategies?
Yeah, once in a while, I've been more on the side of the red-green aggressive beatdown side of things, but I've also had drafts where, it does kind of veer into more of the mid-range space, and I'll splash some blue cards. Like I had a draft where I was splashing, like it was like Glimmer Burst, even the draw to make some enchantments, because I had a few, things that cared about enchantments, and I just needed a bit more grind. So yeah, like you said, so much flexibility. I always feel that, when I jump into a draft, I go, what are we drafting today? And my first few picks aren't going to necessarily dictate that. I feel very in control of where I go in the draft.
Yeah, I feel like that's always been an interesting thing I like watching as we draft together, as I fire up the queue, is you always feel like you dictate the draft a little bit more than I do. So that's always a fun little thing to experience from the co-drafter point of view, where like I almost always just like, oh, what's the best card? What seems open? And you're more like, okay, well, this seems open and this seems like good and what I want to do. And that's always kind of a fun little balancing act that you do in your drafts.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's always fun to figure out where the open lane is and how much you should lean into that or not.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have any pet cards that we should be looking for as we fire up the draft?
Oh, that's a good question. Any pet cards? Well, I like a lot of the small red cards that a lot of people seem not to take very highly. I like the Percussionist, the Monkey, the 1-mana Hasty Monkey.
Yeah.
Turn Inside Out. I love Turn Inside Out, the single red mana trick.
I always associate you with random good 1-drops. But ever since like Anointed Apostle or something, that's always been kind of like your thing.
Yeah, way back. And it's kind of funny, like it depends on the set, right? Like I'm not always about them, but in this one, there's some good ones.
Yeah, like whenever there's a good one, it's like you're gonna find it. If it's good, you'll find it. Like you're not gonna play the bad ones, but it's like, oh, if it's good, then you'll find it. Well, right off the bat, we have a crazy pack already. We've got the Oculus, we've got Chainsaw, and I feel like nothing else is going to come close to those.
Wow. Yeah, both those cards are fantastic. Oculus, I think, kind of obviously looks like, wow, super bomb as long as you can cast it. But Chainsaw is super impressive, too. Like, kill a thing, and this just turns anything into a threat as the game goes on.
Yeah, my opponent manifested Dread, and this was on turn 2 with, like, the flash thing. Turn 3, flipped this card face up, and I was just like, that's just not fair. Like, what am I supposed to do? Just game over. I can't kill a 5/5 flyer at this point. Yeah, so which one of these are you leaning towards?
I think the Oculus is slightly more powerful, and it's sweeter too. I think this card
Yeah.
is really cool.
100%. As I like to say, if the draft wins it all, then you get all the credit. But if it loses horribly, then it's just my piloting error when you weren't there to help me. So
Beautiful.
if I win, you get all the credit. If I lose, I get all the blame. So it's really a great system for you. I like
It
taking
is.
the Oculus too. I haven't
Yeah,
had
it's
to
a good
try it.
exchange for me. Yeah, I know
It really
it's a
is.
good card.
I said that to someone one time and they're like, that seems fair. And I was like, it better seem fair. I don't have anything else I can give you there. If it's not fair, like, what am I supposed to do? But yeah, so we're off to a good shape with the Oculus. And now we see Fear of Isolation, Tunnel Surveyor as blue cards. There's some green cards like Patchwork Beastie. There's a red-black card. What do you like to take here?
Yeah, so I love Fear of Isolation. I think that card is fantastic. You pick up rooms, pick up things that have been manifested, spells you've manifested that you want to cast. Just a
Yeah,
good rate card.
yeah,
Although, one of the things I was going to mention with the Oculus is you do really want to pick up Self Mill.
yeah,
Either say its name or Beasties are really good with that. Manifest Dread does a lot of that work too. So you don't need
yeah.
to specifically pick up cards. So in the interest of taking a flexible card that goes with our first pick in the same color, I would take Fear, and I do think it's the best card in the pack too. But yeah, on the lookout for cards that fill our grave.
Is there a color combination that you want to put Oculus in, or do you think it can be supported in any deck?
A little bit of both. I think it can be supported in any deck. It's probably at its best in a blue-green deck, though, with those green self-mill, manifest dread cards, and yeah, you can fill your graveyard pretty easily.
Yeah, it's so good to manifest dread this card. Like that's like game winning whenever you do it, which is pretty good. So now we're in a little bit of a less there's still a blue card, Tunnel Surveyor. There's a colorless card, the Machete. So both flexible options, and then the pack seems relatively weak. Other than that, there's like Orphans, Miasma Demon. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I like the Machete quite a bit. This has been a card that I've heard, some varying opinions on. Some people, not think it's anything special. Some people liking it quite a bit. I'm on the more I like it quite a bit side of things. Like it's it does a lot of things just in general. It manifests dread, so that's good for those decks. It is good for Delirium, as any manifest dread card is. Helps your like red white aggro decks have a little bit of punch in the late game. And I think with just like what I was saying with the Oculus wanting manifest dread, I think I would take it here.
And also, you can bounce it with Fear of Isolation to get another manifest. I've done that before. It's definitely a nice little synergy piece. And also, just like giving stuff +2/+1 is no joke in the late game when you have nothing to do, especially in a world where there's a bunch of 2/2s from Manifest Dread. Like making your guy bigger and not even really letting them double block is pretty relevant, I'd say.
Yeah, and you mentioned it combos with Fear of Isolation that you can pick it up, but also just like putting on your 2/3 flyer. Like that's pretty good too.
Oh yeah, never forget the vanilla test, as they say.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. In this pack, there's Insidious Fungus, which is a card that I still don't have a read on. Like, every time I see it in a pack, I'm like, is this actually a good card? Is it bad? I have no idea. Sometimes it seems okay when they play it. Sometimes it seems terrible. And then the only blue card is Stalked Researcher. And then there's a black card and Murder and Final Vengeance, which I think is maybe even better.
Yeah, I think we're not going to take the Researcher just too early to take a card of that power level. I do like Fungus. I think Fungus is a quality card, probably the best in the pack.
Really?
Especially if we are leaning towards blue green. Yeah, it's just like it's 1 mana. It's kind of hard to go wrong with 1 mana. Diversity of good effects.
Yeah.
And you're right. I would, by the way, if we take one of the black spells, I would take Final Vengeance over Murder. I think just that 1 mana is a big deal.
Yeah, especially when you have rooms to sacrifice. Like, you don't mind sacrificing those, and you get like some nice value out of those.
Absolutely.
Nice to get the Fungus. Also good to fill the graveyard with Fungus.
Yes.
And as you said, blue-green is a good home for the Oculus. It tends to be good with Fear of Isolation because you can bounce your manifest if you manifest a good spell. So lots of good synergies going on right now, but we're still flexible. And here there is keys to the house for fixing if we wanted that, or graveyard filling. There's Unable to Scream, which can be good. Cryptid Inspector. There's Creeping Peeper, which I've never put in a deck.
Nope.
What do you like here?
I like Unable to Scream. This kind of effect, I think they really nailed it this time. Sometimes they're kind of clunky, kind of 4 mana sometimes, but 1 mana loses all abilities, loses all power and or all power anyways. I think that's exactly. I hope they repeat this version of this card because this is one I'm happy with.
You almost hit it. You hit it with almost the clunky. It was just like, ugh, that's like the word you don't want to hear for Magic cards.
Yeah, clunky.
Like, they had Unable to Scream it reminds me of a lot of cards, namely Kasmina's Transmutation, which wasn't very good because it cost 2 mana and made it a 1/1, which are 2 huge differences. There was also, I think in New Capenna, there was a maybe even 1 mana version that made it into a 1/1 or something. Like, alter ego or something like that.
Witness protection. Yeah,
Witness
yeah, you
protection.
got it. Yeah.
I was on the right wavelength.
Yeah,
But
very
that
close.
one
Yeah,
was
alter
that one
ego.
wasn't good either. But this one really hits all the nails on the head.
Yep,
Oh,
exactly.
yeah, probably also something to do with format context where there's not like a +1/+1 counters theme in any of the colors or things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Here, there's the Soul Reader. If we wanted to go into another color, we only have one green card, and the rest of the pack's kind of meh.
Yeah, I think I just take Watchdog here. Well, Watchdog's a pretty solid too, and it fills the graveyard. There's Cathartic Parting too. The shuffle in a enchantment or artifact, and you can shuffle 4 cards into your deck in your
Right.
library.
Do you main deck that?
I've been especially in blue green, where you kind of sometimes have a deck out problem where you're like, uh-oh, can I win
Oh,
before? I've manifest dreaded 4 times. I cast to say its name, and I've got my my oblivious bookworm going. I do like to
right.
have one card like that.
That's good. That makes sense. Well, it looks like your choice has paid off because it's all blue and green here, even though
Yeah,
medium color. Like I think
yeah,
like
nothing
Flesh
great.
Burrower is the best probably.
And I think the thing being, we're probably going to take a non-blue and green card because Terramorphic Expanse. That's one of my favorite
Yeah,
cards to take early in the packs. Just
yeah.
good for delirium, good for fixing. Hard to go
Fills the,
wrong.
fills
Fills
the
the grave.
graveyard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, there's a Cure Past the
Oh,
Veil as an
interesting.
option. I've never played this card. It always seemed hard to use to me. Um,
It
but
is. Yeah, you're not wrong. It's hard to use, but it's pretty powerful if you can enable it. Like if you
mhm,
do, and we're already on this path of wanting to fill the graveyard.
right.
I think I would take it here. Chandelier is a card I play in blue green sometimes too, as again another way to not deck yourself.
Yeah, that
Um,
checks out. I just like you can I heard this thing one time where it's like if you have a chandelier or this sort of effect, it also just lets you play the games differently. Where it's not
yes,
even
it
like you
does.
have to draw it to do have it do work. It's like, oh, this is in my deck, and therefore I can play the game more aggressively and manifest dread continually because I know I won't deck myself at some point in the game.
Exactly.
Here, there's Beastie or Fear of Failed Tests. Both options I kind of like. I think Beastie might be better in general, but I really like this card, or at least
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
sometimes.
I would take Beastie here too. I started pretty low on Fear of Failed Tests, and I don't love the card or anything, but I've come up to being like, yeah, I respect it. Like when my opponent plays it, I'm like, yeah, that's a problem. Like I
Yeah,
can't really attack them as much as I'd like to, because then they just draw 2 cards, and it's a
yeah.
playable card.
It's one of those cards that like it warps the game around itself in a way that
Yeah,
makes an outsized impact because it doesn't just block their biggest attacker. It makes it so they can't attack with any of their small attackers really either.
exactly.
Because you don't really, it's really hard to like triple block with 3/2/2s or whatever. I think we just take
So
another beastie here, right? Or
I
do you
take
want the,
Vanish from Sight here,
yeah,
actually. Yeah, I
that's why I
think
wanted to ask
that
him.
we just want one more. You know, we have about 1 interaction spell. I think we want another one.
Yeah. Do you like clock those over the course? I guess here it doesn't really matter what we take. I could
I would take Found Footage. I think it matters a little bit. This is a pretty
really.
good card for filling your graveyard. Yeah, and
I've never
Delirium if you
played this
care about
card.
it.
I've never played it and never seen it in play, so I just assumed this was a blank. But I look forward to trying it. Maybe.
Yeah, I've come up on it a little bit in the past little while. Let me put it that way, where I
Nice.
also kind of felt like, yeah, you never really want to play it. But if you care about Delirium, if you care about finding key cards, if you care about, if it kind of helps your fixing a little
It
bit.
puts 3
So
cards in the graveyard for the Oculus.
exactly.
Whoa! Cryptid came
Okay.
back.
Yeah,
That
that's a
seems
card
pretty
we might
good.
play. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's nice to hear like the statement like, "Oh, that's a card I changed my mind about," because that's one of those things where like it's easy to be like, "Oh, at the beginning I didn't think it was good and I was telling people it wasn't good because I was streaming every day or whatever, like
Yeah, of course.
how you do it." And it's like, "Oh, I was streaming every day telling people this card was bad, but then I saw it in play a few times and it was doing well." And so being willing to change your mind is really really cool.
Yeah, it's
Here,
super
I mean,
important as a Magic
yeah.
player.
This card's insane. I played
Yeah.
it. I've gotten to play with it once, and it's awesome. And then there's also this card, which seems like great in our deck. What do you want to take here?
I would love to be able to take the Unholy Annex, but I think considering how not open black was in pack 1
Yep.
and how good threats are on every corner is probably going to be in this deck.
Oh
Like
yeah, it's gonna be
that card's
insane.
yeah, I would take that here. It's tempting to take Unholy Annex, but I would just be happy with the B plus level card in our deck over the spiking for the A plus.
Yeah, exactly. Threats around every corner is like an absolute house. Like I played this into another copy of this one time, and I just get like 4 lands. It's
Ooh,
like, oh, this is insane.
yeah. It's actually like kind of we always talk about how deck thinning. When people talk about fetch lands, they're like, "Oh, it thins your deck," and players like you and I kind of know that's like it's a
Yeah,
part of it, but it's not a huge part of like what you care
yeah,
about with a fetch land. I think the thinning aspect of threats around every corner actually kind of matters because you're doing it continuously, like getting land,
yeah.
land, 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 land. So that's a small part of the card too.
Yeah, I think it's funny with whenever the thinning thing comes up, it's like one life point is almost always worth more than like the small thinning benefit from
Right.
like
Yeah.
sacrificing an actual fetch land. So it's like almost like a trick sometimes where it's like, oh, I'll sacrifice this to thin my deck, but it doesn't actually help. Here, I think it's pretty obvious. Oblivious Bookworm. This card seems amazing in our deck.
Just chef's kiss. This is perfect. Exactly what we want. Like it's probably like top 10 cards we'd want to see in our packs here.
Yeah, it's really cool when the gold cards are great for the deck they go in and not the best outside of it because since it's a 2-drop, you want to be able to play it on turn 2, and that just makes it
Hmm.
like much better in blue green than other decks. So they're not going to like with Drag to the Root, someone can take this and splash it fairly easily if they're playing a green deck or something like that. But like Bookworm fits really nicely what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Here, there's a few cards. There's Bleeding Woods if we wanted to help with our Pure Past the Veil splash. So that's
Hmm.
always something to consider. There's Glimmer Burst, which you said you liked sometimes in these, or some decks at least.
Yeah.
There's another Fungus. There's a Rootwise Survivor, which honestly has been okay when you're an aggressive deck and is sometimes nice in these Manifest decks to flip face up. And there's Watchdog and another Vanish and another
Yeah,
Chandelier. So good options.
lots of options. I agree with all those thoughts. Survivor, Ruai Survivor, another card I kind of started being like, I don't think this card's very good. And it kind of come off to be like, yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
a fine card. You could play it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, what to take here? I think it's between Fungus and Glimmer Burst. I think I would take the Fungus though, because I think
Yeah.
Glimmer Burst is this deck's gonna be good on value. We've got a
Yeah.
lot of value already. We don't need to put a raw card draw spell in the deck, probably.
Yeah, I kind of agree on that metric. I think that the Fungus just is going to do some nice stuff. Fill our graveyard, give us flexibility. Like having the option to like flip it and kill an enchantment that you want to kill is pretty nice.
And just like, ramping to turn 3 threats around every corner. That's something we're going to do sometimes, right? Just
Yeah,
like
that's true.
2 sack. Yeah.
Yeah, that's relevant for sure. Here, there's Anthropede as an option. There's also Piranha Fly, which has not been impressive.
Yeah.
And
Pretty sad pack in general.
yeah, this pack is mopey. I mean, there's some white cards, but that makes sense to see given that white wasn't open pack 1.
I would take Piranha Fly. I would take Anthropede if this is best of 3, just because I think it's an okay sideboard card. I like Piranha Fly if you just are a little short on 2s, basically. And we might end
Yeah.
up there. Probably not. Our colors seem pretty open, but nothing in this pack we're going to miss.
Yeah, it's also fine to flip up as a like reasonable like manifest card, get a flyer later in the game.
Totally.
I still don't know how Fear of Abduction works. I'm pretty sure that it like if you exile a card creature you control when you're casting this, I still don't understand how the stack works with regards to if this dies, and it has not been played against me, so I haven't been able to test it.
So I believe this is the old templating where you don't get your creature back if they exile it with this on the stack. Oh, but then again, now I'm questioning myself
It's an
because
additional
it's like
cost to cast it.
it's additional.
So
Yeah.
it's still on the stack. So it's just
when it,
mind. Oh.
oh yeah. So when it enters and you exile something of your opponents,
Yeah.
if they kill it with the trigger on the stack, they won't get their creature back. Or if you can sack this somehow. But yeah, no, it's a funny card. It's a solid card, anyway.
Well, yeah,
but...
I get how it works once it's in play. It's more so the like you have to exile one of your things as a cost to cast it, and so then I'm just like, but wait, does the return the exiled creatures count the creature you exiled while it was still in the stack?
Right.
And then I asked the judge, and they were like, I'm pretty sure it works this way. I'm like, what do you mean you're pretty sure? You're a judge. I come to you for these matters of importance. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I'll find out one day. Hopefully it's not in the Arena Open. Here there's Glimmerburst, Expanse number 2, Horrid Vigor, and Stalked Researcher.
I like the second expanse. I think just taking another land to fill the grave for Oculus is nice, and that would really lock in a splash if we do pick up something we want to splash.
Like the Pure Past the Veil, or is that not quite that level?
If we get to the amount of self mill that would enable the card, I could see it. But currently, I think I probably wouldn't. And this is an interesting pick too, because Watchdog again a fine too, but green black land. Might see a Swarm Weaver in pack 3. Might see just like a pretty solid black card. Our curve is looking good, but not amazing. So I think I would lean towards the dog, but it is pretty close.
Yeah, it's like one of those like maybe it'll work out, maybe it's like just because like if we don't see a card worth splashing, then the Watchdog's definitely a solid playable, better than Fly for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Gets up
more consistency and yeah. Here there's maybe another Fly. Not a ton going on here.
Yeah, Final Vengeance, not like on the splash, wouldn't be very good in this deck. We don't have a lot of things to sack, so probably not playing anything out of this pack. Just take the Fly.
Yeah. So where do you think our deck is right now? Like if you had to do like a little evaluation of the current progress? You happy with where we're at? You think we need some extra boost from somewhere? Are there any cards you're looking for going into pack 3? What's your evaluation?
I feel like this is we're slightly above average in this deck right now. Like we have the Oculus
Nice.
we first pick, we have the Bookworm, threats around every corner, like some good premium stuff. I think we could do with a little more interaction. I'm usually aiming for like 4 or 5 interaction spells in this format, and there's one I'm perfectly
Bingo.
happy to play. Yeah, there we go. Um, but really, aside from that, I don't think this deck's like missing anything aside from just upgrading to some more powerful cards.
Yeah, and we're only 2 packs in, and we have like a fully playable deck. It feels
Yeah,
like, which is really
absolutely.
cool. Like
Always
if we
feels
had to
good
play
to.
this, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, and we get the woods if we want to do that, or a chandelier.
Yeah, I like taking the land here. I think that while I like Chandelier, I do also like enabling splashes if we can, if we deem it something we want to do.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it looks like our colors are open because this was the only green card in that entire pack, and it came back. So it seems like we're in pretty good shape, though it's not like a
Right.
crazy card.
Yeah, it's not a great card or anything, but that matters to some degree. It means somebody didn't go, okay, well, I guess I'll take this because it's in my colors, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Do you ever pass like cards and colors you aren't playing to like feed the person next to you a card
Yeah,
that they
I
may?
definitely do. Like, especially in pack 2, where I think a color wasn't open in pack 1, I go, yeah, you take this black card, and because I know you were probably in black, so just confirm you in this color, and you pass me the good non-black cards in pack 3.
Yeah, exactly. So this pack seems like a bit of a whiff. What do you think of it?
I think Break Down the Door is a card I'm happy to take here. It's not in most exciting open, but I found this card to be fine, especially in a deck that cares about manifesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a card that I was never. It's another one of those cards that I haven't seen a lot in play, and so I'm always like, okay, is it worth the
Mm.
flexibility to pay for like a 3-minute version of this card, especially with 2 Insidious Fungus? I mean, obviously, we probably would have chosen to have like a really powerful uncommon like a Bookworm here, but it's a pretty interesting card, I think.
Yeah, I think this one and Exercise, the white enchantment artifact removal spell, I'm pretty happy main decking.
Mm-hmm.
Fear of Imposters, also a kind of interesting card there, like the counter. Oh, we don't have to talk about that. We got a cool card.
Bingo.
But
Let's.
actually, I will say it is very close to Under the Skin because Under the Skin is also excellent.
Oh
And
yeah.
if you looked on 17 lands and compare these two, I wouldn't be shocked if Under the Skin is actually the better performing card.
Wow. I never look at 17 lands. I don't find it particularly enjoyable slash helpful in my
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
evaluations. Partially
yeah.
because it's just like I want to take the sweet card and I don't want
Oh, of
to.
course. Yeah, you don't want to be like, but do I have to take that
it's
common?
it's
Yeah.
always interesting to me as well because I feel like it's like not that the people playing on 17 lands are bad, but like there's like a lot like the community group as an average is generally going to be a little bit worse than like individual skillful players who
Of
like
course.
are going to be
Yeah,
playing the particular card. So I feel like it biases a little bit towards cards that are easy to play or
it
that
does.
have
Yep.
like blowout potential in aggro curve outs. So like combat
Absolutely.
tricks always look good there, and it's like good players kind of can sift through the data a bit more. So like when you say something to be about it, it makes more like I'm more willing to listen to it than when somebody's like, this card has a higher number on the 17 lands, so you should take it, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. But this pack,
weird cards. I have
wow.
no idea what to take.
So I would take Growing Dread, but I'd also note that I think Mind Skinner is a real card. I think that card is actually like, it doesn't, you're not going to cast it on 3, but casting it on 6 is still good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
missed the text that said it can't be blocked one time, and I was like, yeah, you can combo with the card that says it can't be blocked, and someone was like, it can't be blocked anyway.
that's funny.
Okay, so now there's a keys to the house. I mean, if we wanted to splash red, we're pretty in good shape to do so.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a beastie, you say its name. Really an overperformer in my book, you say its name. And then there's another Terramorphic expansion. Number 3 might be a bit much.
Yeah, I agree. Like, say its name is a really strong card in this format, and exactly what we want with the Oculus and a few
Yeah.
good bombs to buy back.
Yeah, finding your good cards is really nice. And Hotware Streaker being able to get that back is nice. And
Yeah.
overall, I think our deck is really shaped up this third pack. I mean, it feels like we've gotten a good power level boost. Here we can get Stay Hidden, Stay Silent, I think, pretty easily.
Yep. Love that
Add
card.
to that interaction count. You said you like to aim for 4, right? We have 2 of these, 1 of these, and now a Stay Hidden, Stay Silent. There is, yeah, I think we're kind of at 4, and then we're pretty great at dealing with artifacts and enchantments. Like, we are the best at that.
Yes. Yeah, I am yeah, it's great to take this here. Just one more removal spell. I think at this point, probably not looking to splash. Like our green and blue cards are just really strong. We don't
Yeah.
need to add any more power to the deck and make the mana base worse.
Yeah, and we have double green card on 3, which does make a difference
It
when
does,
you're trying to
absolutely.
splash. Like, it might not seem like a big deal, but like being able to play one extra forest and compared to a mountain can actually make that like curving out with this versus not, and that can win or lose games. I think this card is probably
Absolutely.
better than the Cautious Survivor.
Yeah, I would agree too.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. Also, it's pretty fun to manifest this and then like flip it up after they've not blocked. That's like a nice little trick you can do
Yeah,
sometimes.
we'll get you.
Now there's Vanish, there's a combat trick. Our red splash would be even more secure. Yeah, Cautious
Yeah,
Survivor.
I think I would just take another Vanish here. Like I think we're at the point where we're just looking for upgrades to our cards. I don't think we're gonna play any of these cards unless
Yeah,
we just weed through the not great cards and decide, okay, we'll play a third Vanish. But
yeah. And now we're kind of getting towards the, not dregs exactly, but I mean, I don't know if we want Moldering Gym. Maybe we can play it, but it's more of a ramp than a fixing for us.
right, yeah, I think it's probably gonna be on 25th, 26th card in our deck most likely. So
Yeah, I mean, every card in our deck pretty much would be playable for us, which is kind of neat. Yeah, our pool's pretty solid. Strength. So now that you've kind of seen our deck, I mean, I don't think we're going to get anything crazy left in the rest of the pack. What do you kind of think of the deck? Like overall, after pack 2, you were like, it's slightly above average. And now after pack 3, where we got the Shrieker and we got like a couple of other nice cards and the color seemed pretty open. Growing Dread came back around. Ooh, we can
yeah,
get a
I
Watchdog or Beastie or even Reality.
ooh, nice, yeah. I would say I'll let you make this pick because I think they're all pretty close. But I would say that it's firmly above average now, and I would say like I'd give it like an 8 out of 10 if I were to give it a ranking.
8 out of 10. Nice. Would you have taken the Watchdog? I need to know.
No, I think I would probably have taken the Beastie too. We definitely
Yes.
want.
Oh, that was such a high pressure moment for me. Should we take the Chandelier or the Skinner?
I would take Chandelier here, but I think either is fine, honestly.
I missed I didn't click it fast enough. But I think
It's okay.
Skinner's interesting with Manifest Dread because you can almost get that first hit in like they don't even know it's coming, and then it can
Yeah,
change their plans up a little bit.
totally.
Yeah, Chandelier would have been a fine option. I think
We got one anyways.
it paid off to the max. Oh, I was waiting for this day. I totally forgot this one was coming back around. But now, if you knew you were getting a Chandelier, taking Mind Skinner, I almost assume had to be the
Yeah, future
ideal.
sight Nicolai over here. All right,
Jeez
cool.
Louise. If I'd been really smart and like had predicted it, if you'd said like, "Oh, I would take Chandelier," and then I'd be like, "Yeah, but in 2 packs we're gonna get a Chandelier."
Yeah, exactly. There was one. Don't you
So,
remember, idiot
don't
Alex?
you
There was one in a
remember,
few
you
packs ago.
fool? You fool! Clearly. Well, we're getting Slasher out of here. I mean, it feels like we have like all the playables we could want to work with, and so we can probably just. Do you like to work from your full pool and cut down, or just start with nothing and add cards in? What's your general approach when you're
Yeah,
building?
I'm a fan of take it all out, bring it back in, start with your 13, 14 cards you're gonna play for sure,
Yeah,
because that really lets you tell that informs you of like what your other cards are gonna be. The ones that I could play this C or this C plus, like all these cards that are kind of in the same realm, and knowing what you're missing after you put in the cards you're gonna play is a really good way of figuring out what cards you want to fill your deck in with.
yeah. So I have added in these cards and given us 10 flex. I'm gonna just add.
Yep, I would agree.
I'm giving us 6 flex slots here. I think these are the
Great.
ones that I would expect us to play almost every time. Probably adding
Hmm.
Cryptid Inspector here as well, given the context of our other cards. We have a lot of Manifest Dread. Gonna probably add in at least 2 of the Vanish sites so we have more interaction. Are any of these ads that I've made controversial from your perspective so far, or are you pretty much
Not really. I'm a little bit lower on Cryptid Inspector as a card than I think some people are. I think it's
okay?
okay, but this is how we're getting into the real weeds of things. I don't think it would be a terrible card here. I don't think it would be an awesome card here, but
Okay, yeah,
it's enough that you're like, oh, I think we're gonna include it. I'd be like, I'm not sure that would be the card I
yeah,
bring for something
yeah. It
else here.
doesn't get thrown in right off the bat.
Right,
Yeah, that makes
exactly.
sense. Like it might be just worse than another Bashful Beastie or something like
Yep.
that.
So
Um,
I would bring in the break down the door. I think that's just
yeah,
good enough
yeah,
card to bring in.
better than Cryptid just like on rate and stuff like that. Yeah, that makes
Yep,
sense.
exactly. And then past that, yeah, it gets kind of interesting. I think I would be in for the third Vanish. That just like one more removal spell. It's hard to
Hmm.
kind of go wrong with that, as long as our creature count's high enough. And then it gets tricky.
Our creature count's at 11 right now, but keep in mind that like Break Down the Door is a creature, Growing Dead is a creature.
Yep.
This is a creature, so that's like 3-4 more creatures from these. So
yeah, lots of
a lot
hidden
more creatures. Yeah. So we have like
we were
15.
kind of like iffy about the Moldering Gym. I actually think I would play it here. It's one more Manifest Dread card, and when we have 2 good 5s, that tips the scales a little bit too. Just to be like this on 3, Beastie on 4.
Yeah, we could even add a third Beastie if we wanted, or Chandelier for another expensive card. Yeah, there's still a lot of options for this final slot in the deck, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's between Chandelier and Found Footage, which is kind of interesting because Found Footage. The reason I would want to play it here is it plays reasonably well in the deck with the wanting to self mill for certain cards, but when everything else is kind of like, yeah, I could play this, I could play this. Having a card that just increases your consistency is something I'm looking for. Like that's something that this deck I think just could yeah, it's always good to add consistency.
Yeah.
But I think we're probably also manifesting enough and milling enough that Chandelier deserves the ad here.
Yeah, you think it's going to be better than like Mind Skinner or Fear of Failed Tests or the third Beastie? Those were the 3 cards that kind of jumped to my mind, or even the Cryptid Inspector.
Yeah, I think so. And Mind Skinner would be my last card here if our mana was a little more blue.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to cast this on 3, but you do want to be able to cast it on 5 or on 6, and I don't think we're going to do that every single time in this deck.
And are you a fan of playing both Terramorphic Expanses?
Yep, my rule is the first 2 tap lands, you should always play in your 2 color decks.
Nice.
Except when you're aggro with a lot of 1-drops. But otherwise, it's better to have a tap land once in a while than to have to mulligan, to have to not be able to cast your cards, to not be able to double spell because you're stuck on a single forest. So yeah, good mana is good.
That's kind of exactly my rule as well. Like 2 tap lands, and then once you get to the third, you're like, well, it's not as necessary, and also like it's not as like beneficial necessarily to like just get the like if you have 2 tap lands in your hand, it can get really awkward because turn 1 is kind of a freebie, and then after that it's a little bit trickier.
Exactly.
Well, this deck looks awesome. I'm excited to go to battle with it. We have both the gold uncommons. We've got some really high power level cards like Oculus and Hauntwood Streaker, so like 2 mythics that are both great in this deck. So really excited to try this out. Thanks so much, Alex, for coming on as a guest. Where can people find you if they want to watch more of your awesome content?
Yeah, so if you want to find me on YouTube, you can check out Limited Level Ups. That's I post my podcast there where I break down just my basically weekly findings as I draft a set and help you draft a set a little bit better, give you my tips after I've drafted, 10, 20, 30 times. And that's always going to be on the YouTube channel. You can also find that on any podcast feeds. I'm also on Twitch at cord_o_calls, like you mentioned at the top. And I just want to say thank you for having me on once again, Nicolai. It's always a blast, and I'll look forward to watching this because I think it's going to be a cool one. Yeah, it's going to be exciting to go to battle with this. I do highly recommend Alex's stuff. He's one of the best, and also really one of the best teachers. So not only a great player, but also explains his thoughts. So we're going to say farewell to Alex and go to battle with this awesome deck, and I'll see you folks there. Oh, thanks so much, Nicolai. Before I get to the games, I want to give a huge shout out to all of the patrons who support my channel at patreon.com/NicolaiBolas. Because of Patreon support from viewers like you, I'm able to make more high quality videos on a consistent basis, which is great. As a patron, you gain access to cool rewards like my card by card tier list for each set, where I grade each card on an A through F scale, as well as my format thoughts document where I go into more detailed analysis on cards, my big picture thoughts on the format, and how I'm approaching things so you can find more success in your own drafts. I want to give a special shout out to those patrons who support at the credits level. It really does make a big difference. And without further ado, let's get to the games. Welcome to round 1. Before I dive in, I do really want to say Alex has departed. Quarter calls, limited level ups. Check him out. He's great on Twitch. He's really good at explaining his thoughts. We're obviously keeping this hand, but he's really one of the best drafters, content creators out there. I've always enjoy getting to spend some time with him and hear his thoughts on a format. They always make me a better player. I think they'll make you a better player. So check out the podcast, subscribe to his YouTube channel. It really will help you improve and have more fun playing. So yeah, cannot speak highly enough of him. He's one of my favorite guests. I've had him on many times. And here we're going to get a little island, I think. We already have double green, so we're chilling on that front. But yeah, Alex is awesome. And of course, there's going to be links to all of his stuff in the description that you can find. Oh, gosh.
Well, I don't know if I want to use the Shrieker now. I will, though. We'll go for it. We'll just run it out there. If they kill it, they kill it. We could have also played the Tunnel Surveyor. Yep. He killed it. And they're splashing. Interesting. They already had their color, though. Here, we're just going to keep on playing our cards. I think we'll just play this guy. Get the machete rolling. Put this thing face down. Now we have creature, sorcery, land. So we're almost at delirium in case that will matter. And we have all 3 vanish from sites, which isn't the best, but that's how it goes sometimes. I'm actually pretty okay with this, trading this off with the Burrower, because the way this is going to play out is they're going to be able to play their big creature like several turns in a row. And as long as it doesn't have an enter the battlefield effect. Yes. Yes. Well, that was obviously not ideal. Well, if I do this turn, then I can play the Oculus next turn. So, well, that was not what I wanted to happen. You will understand, of course. And now they have delirium. I'm going to probably just start killing the insects. That's pretty bad. Let's be honest about that much. Pretty bad. I was like all ready for them to just play like a big creature, like a 5/5 or a beastie or something like that, and then I'm in great shape with these 3. But now I'm in rough shape. And they are cowardly, not sending in this guy into combat. We will keep the bookworm. We probably should have milled it now that I think about it. Because we can't play the Oculus now, but... So we get to draw and discard, and now Oculus is online. I don't know if I really want fungus here. Six cards from your graveyard. Oh my gosh. That's just messed up. Strong opponent. Oh, and it even has Death Touch. Oh my gosh. I don't think I can afford to worry about milling this game. I need the land so I can... Yeah, they get to draw. That card's going to be basically impossible to beat. This card's really the one that's wrecked us. Or maybe it was because I didn't let myself get this into play by keeping the bookworm on top. I think I'm looking for Unable to Scream right now. Unfortunate. But Altenek is gone, though they're going to grab it again here. What? Oh. Interesting. So they just get any card they want, and then probably it's a reanimation spell or something. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. Draw and discard. Ooh. Manifest that. We can also exile enchantments and artifacts, or just manifest on their end step. Oh, gosh. So there's the Alternate coming back. Ooh, Death Toucher guy. Interesting. I think it's an insect for this. Yep. No blocks. We will manifest Dread. Okay. So we can attack in the skies. Go for a gang block on this guy. Sure. I'm starting to worry about our decking situation. So the problem is this thing gives Death Touch, so they trample over for a significant amount of damage here. So can we kill them on the crackback? I don't think so. I got block 2, 3, 4, 5. Everything blocks this guy. Then I bounce Swarm Weaver. Just my nightmare scenario. Mm-hmm. I think I'm just dead here. There's nothing I can do against this card. I don't think I've ever beaten that card. It's so messed up. Yeah, that's game. I'm just gonna concede here. Oh my gosh, it's so brutal. My goodness, that card is such a beating. Well, we'll do our best next round. Welcome to another round. We're going to keep this hand. I do think I did screw up that last game where I should have just gone with the mill the card, play the Oculus earlier, tried to maybe force through some damage that way. Here, I think I will play the Watchdog on turn 2, try to set up a turn 3 ramp spell. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Feeling pretty good about this start. We don't want to trade damage because it's a red-white deck and we can probably outvalue them in the mid to late game. No! Okay. Perfect card to draw there. Maybe not perfect, but pretty good. This guy already can't block the Shrieker, so we don't want to use our Unable to Scream. Terramorphic Expanse and Jim being clutch, letting us cast this. They already used a Scorching Dragonfire. They might not have another great convenient kill spell on the ready. Oh, Fungus, you shall do work. I'm going to wait till I have the 5 mana to do this all at once. For now, I will just wait, be patient, vanish from sight something big, or Growing Dread. Our Insidious Fungus can kill that if we want. Wow, they got rid of Betrayer's Bargain. Their hand has to be juiced right now. Leave it on top. I will also keep a land on top. This is an enchantment, so I can always sack this to kill this or this. Oh, this has to discard a card, right? So this card's probably really good. Save some damage, get back our guy. Oh my gosh. This guy can just flip that up whenever we want now. That seems pretty good to me. So they know it's a creature. Starting to feel a little bit dicey about life total potentially, but we're in good shape here. Our creature's going to get huge if we flip them up. Oh my gosh, well, that's an easy choice. Yes! Oh, what a win. We just kind of dismantled them. Oh, man, I don't know what they discarded when they had that removal spell, but it must have been something pretty good in their hand. Anyway, see you folks next round. 3 rounds in, we are confronted with our first mulligan. It's okay. Great hand. Oh, really good hand here. I think we want to get rid of the Tunnel Surveyor, because the other cards let us draw cards to get the Oblivious Bookworm going, and should be pretty good, as long as they don't Scorching Dragonfire this. Get rid of Say Its Name, I think. Yes, they know Scorching Dragonfire is huge. Here we're just going to use this card right away, I think. We could use this technically if we wanted to, and then save this to kill the playmate, but I think we're going to want to use this and then try to double spell with this later. We have the fungus that can take down that card. I think we want to go with the bigger creature here. Huge. Nice draw. Good job, deck. Interesting, sure. Let's just use this now as a little cheap holdover effect. Spend our mana, and then we can use Growing Dread here. Sure. No attack is so smart by them. So we really don't want to flip lands with the Growing Dread. So we will do this. Do this. We'll put the Sphere on them by doing it that way. I guess it would have flipped into a 3/3, so that was bad, actually. Whoops daisies. I don't really feel like drawing and discarding, so I will just use this on end step. Yeah, I should have gone with the other guy because it'll flip into a bigger creature and also work better with this guy. It's kind of a mind game, though, because they have to assume this is a creature now. So I feel like that's an okay play to have in your range in other situations. Because normally flipping this won't do much. Sure. Also known as fancy play syndrome sometimes. Let's just do that. This seems pretty good. If they don't kill the Oculus now, they're in trouble. The Balloon Man? Oh no. If I find a way to bounce it back, I'll be happy. This can hit me for 5. With this, it'll hit me for 6. I can potentially just swarm them here. Okay. Like, I have a lot of creatures here to deal some significant damage. If they tap the Balloon Man, tap this guy, they have 2 blockers back. Maybe force some chumps. Okay. That is a lot more damage than I hoped. And I'm dead. Great. Yeah, I think I'm actually Xaxis dead. Though I couldn't have played around this in any way. 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, I'm not exactly dead. Well, that was unfortunate. Feels like, you know, not a ton I could have done differently there. They just had like a really good sequence of cards to beat me. And yeah, see you folks next round. Welcome to another round. Gosh, we're facing a gauntlet today. Another mythic opponent. Another bad hand. I mean, this hand is good if we drew an island. We have 9 blue sources in the deck. We have 2 draw steps to find one. Yeah, that's not a hand we can keep. We can keep this one, though. We'll use this to get a green source so we can play our double green spell if we draw it. Let's go on a run here, how about? Pretty far from needing this. It also gets us 2 types for Delirium. I'm just on the assumption that this dies. Oh, gosh. Well, that was a huge draw. I'm just going to do this now. I could have just let them get a 1/1, but I don't really want to. Yep. I'm going to get rid of this because I think they're going to have some enchantment I want to kill with the Insidious Fungus at some point here in their blue-white deck. Sure. Yeah, killing the Gremlin Tamer was a good choice. Just gonna kill one of these. It's not great. What the heck? Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry, Corticals. I've done my best. What am I supposed to do against this nonsense? What? What? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And then I missed my land drop because I had to mulligan this game. Oh my gosh. What a travesty, honestly. I'm so dead. They just use this, put 2 counters on this guy, and this guy I can't block. I'm so dead. This bookworm is my last line of defense. Yep. I'll take 6. The craziest part is they blew me out killing a 1/1 with my 4-mana removal spell. Gosh. Well, I will say, I feel like this draft has been me running into, like, rares every single round. I lost to the Swarm Weaver guy. I lost to the Balloon Man copying and stealing my Oculus with, like, almost exact damage. And then I'm losing to the Wandering Emperor after, I mean, a relatively mopey draw. I mean, this has just been the most uninspiring draw I've ever had. Sure. Wow, that's terrifying. They just give everything power and toughness equal to the number of creatures they control next turn. Okay. You can have your 2/2 back. I'll take out your double striker, even though I'm super dead anyway. Oh my gosh, no! It was the card I needed! Oh wait, I can keep it on top and I don't have to draw its May ability. Okay, I need to fade one draw step. Come on, deck. Fade! Fade! Fade the draw step! If I win this game somehow, it will be a miracle. Yeah, there's no way I can attack here. That's a crazy attack. Oh my gosh. Like, I think I had to stop the Wandering Rescuer, but they're going to get so many 1/1s that I'm going to lose to that guy now. Just a disappointment here. You've drawn so many lands, too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have, like, outdrawn us by so much. Maybe I wasn't supposed to put it back on the Rescuer. Maybe just put it right back on the Gremlin Tamer. Great. This is just miserable. I can't imagine I have anything that's crazy better than that. The fact that they haven't won yet is almost like something's wrong. I could do this into Oculus and then kill them in 3 turns. They have 8 1/1s. They have a counter spell? Yeah, why wouldn't they? Gosh. Such a frustrating set of games, honestly. I don't feel like I played badly. I feel like our deck was great. We had a good mix of stuff. It's just like we just had kind of clunky draws and drew like horribly in this game. Anyway, 1-3, not the greatest record, but I mean, you saw the games. It wasn't really anything that, I mean, a lot of decks would have lost to this sort of draw and this sort of situation. We mulliganed a couple of times, which never helps, even though our mana is quite consistent and our curve is low. So unfortunate to go 1-3, but the deck was really awesome and it was great having Alex on as a guest. If you did make it all the way to the end of the video, leave hashtag Cord in the comment section down below because he was a great guest. Corda calls, limited level ups, all that good stuff. I do hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to check out his stuff. It'll be linked in the description down below. But that's going to do it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you next time.